All right, well, in 7.1, we were adding and subtracting polynomials. And remember, I really emphasize that when we add and subtract, we do not change the exponent. Well, today we are going to be multiplying and dividing. So guess what? The exponent will change, potentially can change when you're multiplying and dividing because exponents mean multiplication. So we're going to start with multiplying a monomial by a polynomial. And so to do that, we are going to distribute just like we've done before. So looking at this first example here, we're going to distribute that 3 just like we normally would. So 3 times x squared is 3x squared plus 3 times 2x would be 6x plus 3 times 6, 18. Remember, that's it. Can't combine. There are no like terms here. X squared is different than x is different than 18. You try this next one now. Pause it and then push play when you're ready to check. So we are going to distribute just like the last one, 2x squared minus 2x plus 22. Done. Now this next example involves multiplying not just -3, so we got to watch out for the negative, and it's an x. So when we multiply -3x times x squared, remember it's kind of like this, times x squared, things we saw on our last quiz. This is going to be -3x to the third, right? When we're multiplying like this, we have to add the exponents. So now this is going to be -3 times 7, so plus 21, and then x times x, x squared. Then -3 times 1 is going to be minus 3x. That is going to be that. So notice now when we're multiplying, the exponents did change. You try this one now. Pause it, try it on your own, and then push play when you're ready to check. So we are going to distribute just like that last one. This is going to be -10x to the third plus 40 x squared plus 60x. All right, so that's multiplying. Now when we divide, notice here that the whole numerator is being divided by 3x, which means we need to divide each term by 3x. So when we do that, we are going to have, if you want, we could write it this way. And we're going to write 3x under every term because that is essentially what we're doing. We have to divide each term by 3x. Well, we did this last week, right? 9 divided by 3 is 3. Remember, it's divided by x to the third divided by x is x squared, subtracting the exponents. For our next term, 3 divided by 3 is 1. X squared divided by x, x. Plus 12 divided by 3 is 4. The x's cancel out. So again, when we multiply and divide, we do see the exponents change. You try this one now. Watch out for that negative sign in the denominator and push play to see it done when you are finished. So here we go. We're going to do just like we did the last one. I'm going to do minus 4x squared over -2x plus 12x over -2x. So 8 divided by -2 is -4, x to the second. Now negative divided by negative is going to be plus 2x. 12 divided by -2 is -6. And there we go. Now, these last two here are a little tricky. We are going to, now right now it doesn't look like we can divide. But what we can do is reverse distribute, what we call factors. So if we take that 4x plus 8 and divide everything by 2, right? Each part by 2. Oh, not 2, 4, sorry. Divide each thing by its common, or common denominator it would be. We would, not common, greatest common factor. We can divide everything by 4 and take that 4 outside, and that leaves us with x plus 2 inside. And so now the parentheses cancel out, and we are left with just 4. Similarly here on this side, we're going to do this one together. Notice we want it to cancel with 2x minus 1. So to get that first term to be 2x, we would need to divide by, let's put the x in there, by negative 3. See, if we divide by negative 3, that becomes positive 2x. So if we take that negative 3 out, if we divide everything by it, we're left with 2x minus 1. And they cancel out, and we just get negative 3. So those are a little tricky. I'll give you that. Finally, what we're going to do on day 1, and this is split up into 2 days again, we are going to multiply now a binomial by a binomial. So binomial by binomial. We are going to do it by distributing. So what this means, when we have parenthesis times parenthesis, everything here needs to multiply times everything there. And the way we're going to do it is one part at a time. So first we're going to start with the x in the first term, and we're going to distribute the x to each term in the second parenthesis. So we're going to do it very logically. So starting with the x times x is x squared, x times 5 plus 5x. So now I'm going to move to the 3 because we multiplied x times everything in the second parenthesis. So now we're going to do the 3, and we're going to multiply the 3 times each term in the second parenthesis. So that's going to give us plus 3x plus 15. Now we're not done because you can see, these two middle terms can be combined. So my final answer is going to be x squared plus 8x plus 15. Let's try the same thing on the next one. You try it first, pause, and then push play when you're ready. So same thing, we need to multiply everything in the first parenthesis times everything in the second parenthesis. And we're going to do it one term at a time. So we're going to start with the x and multiply that times each term in the second parenthesis. That's going to give us x squared minus 2x. Then we're going to move on to the 4, and we're going to multiply the 4 times everything in the second parenthesis, plus 4x minus 8. Now combining like terms, we get x squared plus 2x minus 8. Now that's the end of day 1. Day 2, we are going to be multiplying some more binomials by binomials. Now, if you remember, well, you do remember because we just did it, the way we multiplied this was we started with the first term and we multiplied it times each term in the second parenthesis, and then we went on to the next term and multiplied it times each term in the second parenthesis. Well, there is an acronym that helps us remember what to do. FOIL. FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last. Notice we do the first terms first here in blue, okay? Then we do the outermost terms. Then we do the innermost terms. And then finally do the last terms. It's the same thing we did in the previous example by distributing. But sometimes, and you'll see in the future, it helps to have like ways to describe it. So the first terms, the outer terms, the inner terms, the last terms. So I might be using those words, or I will be using those words from now on, to describe how we distribute. So it helps to keep you organized. So first, outer, inner, last, just like we did. So same thing, x squared, outer plus 7x, inner minus 5x, last minus 35. So what we're doing here, nothing new, same thing like we did last week, or last time distributing. It's just now we're putting letters to it, or descriptions, first, outer, inner, last. Another way of multiplying a binomial by a nomial is the table method. I generally do the FOIL or distribution, but I want to show you the table method because that might be something you like. So the table method is when you, and look right here, this is where we make a table and we put one set of parentheses on one side of the table and the other set of parentheses on the other side of the table. Notice this is 2x minus 3 on top, x plus 5, it's positive 5 there. And then just like a multiplication table, we get x times 2x is 2x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. 5 times 2x is 10x. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. So there are our 4 factors, and we still combine like terms, so we need to combine, these two together, right? Because they're like terms, and then we can write our final answer. Let's try the table method here with this example. So here we go. We're going to make our table. Let's see, we're going to have x minus 8, and it doesn't matter if you put the x minus 8 on the top or the left side, as long as one's on one side, one's on the other. So now when we multiply, x times x is x squared, x times negative 8 is negative 8x, negative 5 times x is negative 5x, negative 5 times negative 8 is 40. Combining these two together, right, I can just go ahead and write my final answer, which would be x squared minus 13x plus 40. There we go. Now, finally, the grand finale is we're going to multiply a binomial by a polynomial. Look at this thing. Binomial times trinomial. Well, when it comes to these, there's no special table or acronym or anything. It's just purely distribution. We need to multiply everything times that's in the first parenthesis times everything in the second parenthesis. So like the distribution method, we're going to start with the x, and we're going to multiply the x times everything in the second parenthesis. So that's going to give us 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus x. And then we're going to move on to the 3 and multiply it times everything in the second parenthesis. Plus 9x squared minus 12x plus 3. Now it's like the problems we did in 7.1, combining like terms. We only have 3x cubed, done with that. Now we have our x squared. So 9 minus 4 is plus 5x squared, done with those. Now we move on to our x's, negative 11x, done with those, plus 3. You try this next one and pause it, and then push play to see it done out. So we're going to attack this the same way. We're going to distribute that x first and get 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 5x. And then we're going to do the negative 2. So this is going to be, watch that negative, right? Negative 4x squared minus 6x plus 10. So final answer, 2x cubed, done with that, minus x squared, done with those, minus 11x, done with those, plus 10. And that'll do it.